What's up, guys? Welcome back to the weekly Nerdporial after show for House of the Dragon season 2. So, of course, I'm your host Brian, the Nerdporial life form, and we got Prophet. Steve's not going to be here because for reasons, for good reasons. But we still have a decent panel from last week. So, without further ado. Luckily she was available to come on, so we got Miss Martin Muses right now. So what's up? How are you? Thanks for coming back. Okay, all right, so she's not ready, so let's bring in Salty. What's up, Salty?
What an introduction. You make me feel like I'm like a fourth stringer. You got me off the farm team and you just want me to get hit by batted balls in practice. No, it's great to be back here. We were chatting about this show, and I can't wait to hear what everybody has to say.
Cool. And Smart Muse is left. She left the stream. All right. So we have the ever elusive Pip Man. What's up, Pips?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I mean, these introductions, like you really did not like this episode. You are like, and like the next guy, I don't care. Just
some dipshit, some guy.
Who's here again? Yeah. I'm drunk. This is the introduction from this guy.
Yeah, he's like,
I had
a couple of goat ropers I got, and Steve isn't here, so I got to work with these two dipshits. But luckily, Miss Martin Muses showed up. And
speaking of which, here she is.
Hey. Hi. Speaking of drunk, my computer got drunk there for a second and knocked me right off.
That's
awesome. It was just I was like, how are you? And I got silence. The only thing that was missing was cricket sounds, but yeah.
Oh, no.
That's a pro YouTube move right there.
Mahalen Air is in. Well, first of all, welcome to everybody in chat. Mahalen Air is in there saying good enough episode. Same old issues from my perspective, but battle made it interesting, at least. Well, we finally got a battle.
So Miss Muses, what was, just like to start ladies first, obviously, what is your take on tonight's episode?
Disappointment. But I knew it. Yeah. I knew they were going to do it. I knew they couldn't pull it off. Now, visually, they pulled off some magnificent things, and I think they did a good job with Ratings' last dive. I thought that they did finally justice to the character.
I like that shot of the dragons twirling, fighting, trying to bite each other and everything, and then burning each other. But my issue with that was they're Dracarising each other. The riders would be dead.
Yeah.
Like, see, dragon fire is no joke.
And that's it. I mean,
but that might be a lore issue too. So.
Yeah. Teresa put out an episode that I watched. Go check it out after this on her channel, talking about what really happened and what really happened with Aegon and all this other stuff. And it's like I was wondering because it just seemed like arbitrarily the show's like, oh, I guess we're going to show dragons fighting now. No build up, like no rewarding you for watching it. Just like, oh, look, things are happening on the screen and they're cool,
Yeah.
And they needed the freaking Screen Rant or IGN or one of those publications to have to say that they were going to be doing something episode 4. That's the only reason why I knew about this. That's the only reason why I knew about this. I'm sure maybe you guys probably knew about this too. So I don't know, or I said it last time. I don't remember. But yeah, this episode was just like. I'll be honest.
Wait, are you saying that episode 4 is like the hype episode? Like the people who've seen the whole season are like, oh, episode 4, that's the one.
Yeah, and I'm watching this. I'm like, it's
looking forward to next week now. Thank you for that.
yeah. I mean, next week it's going to be, next week is going to just be more, just I don't know, just spouting off obvious things without, I don't know. Just walking cardboards. I don't know.
Dempsey says he's going to be a grandfather. Dude, congratulations!
Oh,
and I love the stuff you're posting on social media too. It's great to have these para-social relationships and see what you guys are doing and jamming and pictures of your pets and stuff. And it's great that you come and hang out with us here and talk about this show.
Yeah. Well, Nerdporial, when you were saying about how cool it was seeing the 2 dragons do it, we were supposed to get 3 dragons doing it because Aegon and Aemon were supposed to work together. So they were just all supposed to be so tangled together, and all 3 of them were going to crash to the ground. But I didn't
even see like the first thing I for a second I thought it was Rhaenys that fell, but then it was actually Aegon that fell first, and apparently I was like, oh, what like, is he dead? Like, did they change something? Because I know in the lore he survives. I think he's injured and he survives, and then it's long enough to, let's just say, kill an important character. So, like, I wasn't sure. I was just like, okay. There's several points where there was just like, I think this is supposed to be from Kristen Cole's point of view. He gets knocked off his horse. I think I don't remember if it was the first. There was 2 points where it cuts to black like it's The Sopranos, and all of a sudden we get Zack Snyder slow motion and all that slow motion battle twice. I was like, is this over with? Is it over? So
I know it was a little weird. I'm going to shout out Trip, who's in the chat. She says that you guys didn't like this episode. Well, no, I thought the dragon battle was cool. I mean, I really think it did. My problem with it is that it didn't really feel earned, and there was so much. It just felt like so many blocks of scenes that didn't do anything. Like, it didn't do anything at all. And then we got the tease of, I'm going to tell you about the White Walkers and all this other stuff. Like, and it didn't mean anything. I mean, am I being unfair, Teresa and Pips? I mean,
no. Well, first of all, none of the Song of Ice and Fire thing means anything, because if they're going by the Game of Thrones TV show, we know it comes to Arya flying through the air like Superman randomly and just it's over in 3 seconds. So it really wasn't so great a threat. Much ado about nothing.
Trip says she found it emotional, and that's okay. We don't all have to agree on things. I get it. I think some of it was really beautifully shot. The dragon battle was beautifully shot. The battlefield was beautifully shot. I think for me, and I'll speak just for myself, I was bored most of the episode, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, hey, I guess we need to have a battle in this. And I was like, oh, okay, well, are you actually going to show me anything? And the aerial battle was cool, but it just, I don't know, it didn't, I felt like I was being manipulated into feeling by a scene as opposed to this character built to the moment and the death that they had. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what I would add to that is that I think that they were building to it to be, this emotional scene, right? But let's be honest, Aegon and Aemon's stuff. I mean, I guess Aegon made fun of him in the brothel last episode. So like now, mortal enemies, it all makes sense. It's just very little build up to that. I mean, sure, Cain and Abel is, a story as old as time, right? So like, I guess it makes sense, but like, it wasn't built up to. And so it was just kind of like, oh, this happens. And you can kind of see it happening. The whole like Vhagar being there, hidden, waiting, they treated that like it was a big reveal with like, the beacons of Minas Tirith are lit, all this, the little horns and stuff. And it's like, it was super obvious. And then Rhaenys, like her death, I think that was probably the only like emotional sort of payoff that they were.
It was powerful.
Sort of built to.
It was.
And I think that one was mostly undercut by a couple things for me. One, like the weird scene with Rhaenys and Corlys being like kind of the first scene that we see of her in the episode with Alan, right? It was just like an odd, like that scene just wasted time with her on screen that didn't build to what was actually happening in this episode with her. So if it was really trying to build to
I agree.
It should have been a different scene.
No, it didn't. I like there's a way to do it. And I've seen several episodes where a character, dies at the end, and this just didn't really, I've seen enough of it to know, like, really, this is happening in this episode. Usually we find out something important. We find out like we find out like something that means something that makes us want them to live or something. And there was nothing like that for Rhaenys. So I'm just honestly at this point, Rhaenys is not going to complain about not being the queen that never was or something, wherever that was. So I'm actually kind of relieved now.
Tim's talk,
as terrible as that sounds. As terrible as that sounds. Yeah, what's up, Tim's talk?
Yeah, Tim's talk is here. Says, meanwhile, let me go back a little. Things happen though. Yay! The dragons decide everything. Everyone stop battling to wait for that finish. And Trip, I'm not going to laugh at you. My problem is that I think if they just would have. I think it's the cumulative effect again, just for me. And Teresa, please jump in. Her death was really well done. The battles were really well done. The massacre of the infantrymen at the castle siege was really well done. When the dragon fell out of the sky and crushed all those people, and people like that was shocking. I mean, it was visceral. The problem I have is that it just seemed to come out of nowhere. And there was no build up and no reward. It's just like, okay, we've been talking for 3.5 episodes.
And all of a sudden now there's this Rook's Rest. There's this Rook's Rest that's going to be taken, that somehow our heroes on the Black Council side didn't even consider, they're right by us. They're right across the bay. You were like, no defense. No defense whatsoever.
And it's not that I want to hate this. I don't. It's just that we're 4.5 episodes in before something big like this happens. Teresa, I mean, you know the story, and that's no discredit to anybody in the chat. Everybody's allowed to feel the way they do. You did that great video that talked about what was supposed to happen, and that actually soured me even more to know what the real story was.
Well, see, and that's my problem is we've been waiting 2 years for this. And longer if you've been reading the books. And it's like, really? You changed it up? Because the way it was supposed to be was Aegon and Aemond were working together, and they had sprung this trap right on Rhaenys. And what you said about it just happened, they should have been building up Rhaenys episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, not just her showing up now and then to say a few snarky comments, really building up to the fact that they were like, hey, Rhaenyra is kind of going a little cuckoo on us with her grief and all this. And she and Corlys were kind of like running the Black Council by this point. They just had them have like that one little tiny little scene, which made it all look petty, frankly, the way they did it. And then for her to finally build up to the thing like, you know what, Rhaenyra can't do it, we can't risk her sons, I'm going to do it. And then we had this great moment for her. It's like they don't know how to pace the season. And I mean, there was nothing wrong, as I said, with what they did with Rhaenys for the most part in this battle. Actually, Rhaenys' part was pretty accurate. And the way she died, I mean, it was incredibly moving, but my gosh, we should have been getting so much more with Rhaenys so that when she dies, we really feel it.
Impact.
Like, holy shit, not only have we lost a dragon, we've lost someone that's been keeping the team Black from losing their shit during all of this.
Yeah.
So the couple of things that I want to say about it is that, I think that one of the things that needed to happen over the course of this season to make this pay off better was, we needed to see Rhaenys as a dragon rider, as sort of a tactician, maybe a little bit more for this to make more sense. We don't really get the sense that like she is really experienced and this is going to be a major loss and all that. Like, I mean, it's like it's there, but it's there on the like superficial level of like, the plot has said these things, but you as the audience, like, you don't really.
We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. So
you haven't seen it.
Sorry for the interruption.
The rivalry with the two brothers, same thing. Like it's there, but like, not to the point that he's going to murder him with a bunch of witnesses around, right?
That's it.
And then leave those witnesses. Like this is a huge escalation of their previous conflict, right? And like it just wasn't paid off or like built up to, I think, in a way that would have made it, more realistic. And then for me, honestly, the death, the climactic battle was actually undercut by Rhaenys, who's supposed to be the experienced, whatever, that's what they just said 5 minutes ago. So because they told us, we know it now, right? She sees and is part of this, thing like, hey, that dragon over there with the king on it, and she knows that just died, right? And she is escaped. She's free and clear, and she's like, I'm gonna go back. We're gonna fight more, right? And I get that they they gave like the look, the camera pan, like you saw the look in her eye, like, her and the dragon had a conversation, and she's like, hey, we're gonna go back on the offense here. It's like, that is dumb as hell. Like, was so dumb. Like, she had right there, like, doesn't even matter what happens with Rook's Rest right now. The other king, you guys are, in a battle over the throne. The other side just lost. And there are witnesses that the potential heir to take over, his brother, because they don't have him having two sons. They had one son and they killed him, right? Which I know Teresa said that they changed that from the book, probably because of this. So the brother, who would be maybe the heir, was just witnessed as having killed the king, which means that it's a really hard pull for them to convince the country to adopt him as the new king. She should have ridden back to Dragonstone and been like, war's over, guys, peace. And instead she went back to fight a larger dragon, the largest dragon. And then her death, when she falls on the keep. She falls on the keep, and basically, they can go and it's breached. Basically, breaches the defenses, and they lost. So also, her going back basically, ruins everything. And this is a really nitpick thing, but it's just been every time they do dragon on dragon stuff, the aerial combat stuff, the tactics are shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out some more people in chat. We've got 10 watching. Thank you all for being here. DJ Play Nice is here. Gadfly Fiction is here. It says, hey folks, just dropping in. Still haven't bothered to watch episode 3 and still have no interest in doing so. Tim's Talk says, this is for me like the Acolyte episode 5 in a way. See some interesting perspectives. What's fascinating, and Steve, you heard my phone dinging. Steve was just going, and he literally said, maybe I'm crazy, but he's literally just, he's apparently at work, and he apparently Neurotic and Mahler, they're jizzing all over the show and calling it a return to form. And
they were saying that last season as well. I mean, at this point, I mean, they're entitled to their opinions. I have nothing but respect for them.
I don't watch.
I mean, they felt the same way about a certain season of Picard. So I mean, this is where where disagreements are gonna happen. It's commonplace. Yeah. So yeah, I mean. People are going to listen to whoever they want to listen to. So
I mean,
hold that thought, Pips. Just one thing, I do appreciate you guys being here. Prophet, Steve, we know how you feel about this, but sorry, Pips, resume your thought. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, while we're on the topic of other commentators and their opinions, like everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just want to say that, like, I don't hate this show, right? Like, there are things that this show is doing fine, right? There are things that this show is doing well, honestly. Like, some of the acting I still think is really good. The set design and a lot of the visuals and stuff like that, I still think there's a lot of parts of it that are really good. I know people who, maybe know a lot more about those specific things than I do will nitpick on problems with them, and like that's fair. But from like a layman's perspective, a lot of the cinematography, the set design, the costuming, the production stuff all seems pretty good. It's just that there's what they haven't figured out is the pacing and the way to. And Teresa has talked a lot about like the changes that they made from the story. And one of the things, like, if you're making an adaptation from a book, you're going to have to cut things. But the cuts you should make should be in service of A, the story, and B, the way you're trying to tell the story. They needed to streamline, and they've been expanding and putting all sorts of weird things out in the side lanes and just going all over the place. Yeah. And it just makes it such a slow plod. And then Salty, like you said, they're like, all right, episode 4, we got to give them something. So I don't know, battle. And you're just like, cool.
Yeah,
all right.
And there's just a lot of characters. I don't remember their names. I don't really care. They're just kind of there just to bring something like that Grand Maester. I don't know anything about this Grand Maester compared to Pycelle in Game of Thrones. Like Pycelle had his own little agenda, he had his own little secrets and all that. So I mean, so he had a spectacular death, at least in the
you mean
books.
Characters you forgot, like Alan? Let's talk about Alan for a minute here.
Alan,
seriously, what is happening? Why is she touching this guy's face? Apparently, this
because
is
it's mystery until then maybe the next 2 episodes.
I don't know. Teresa,
watch and find out.
Is Alan one of Corliss's bastards?
Well, yes, and one of the plot points is that Corlys never told until Rhaenys passed away. So there was part of the reason why he never kind of came out and brought them forward. So the idea that she already knows, and then she's creepily touching their face again, it just seems something very weird for Rhaenys to be doing.
Especially not established at all with us, the audience. Again, it's like, cool. So I need to go to the wiki to understand why you're wasting 5 minutes of an episode on this. Awesome.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah, in
something that they can do when they call for the dragon seeds, they can just do it. They can have Corlys bringing them forward, and that's kind of the way it happened in the history. And I know everyone always says, "Oh, it's written like a history book." It's like, yes, but it's a very coherent written history book. Okay, they still have the plot points and the beats. That's when Corlys brings them forward, and he never quite claims that they're his. He kind of like to say, "Well, they were maybe Leonor's and all that," but it's most people know that they are his own sons. But yes, whenever you're seeing a TV show and the audience is just going WTF, and then to have an answer, you have to find some extra source. That is a problem. I like what you said about, that we know that they have to change things. Like, come on, dumbasses, don't gaslight us. Not you all here on the panel, obviously, or in the chat, but I'm just saying I'm seeing out in the Twitter sphere. It's like, listen, we know they have to change things, but it has to service a story. For example, Maelor does not exist. So now Aemond is the heir. That is a huge plot point. And now we saw the heir to the throne try to assassinate the king, but they haven't even talked about that. They won't even acknowledge that Aemond's the heir. So if they wanted to change it, maybe that would have made sense. That might have been a motivation for Aemond. They're like, "You're the heir now, dude." And he's like, "Ooh, all they need to do is make a little mistake, then I'm the king." So that might have been a motivation, but they didn't even do that.
Mahalen Air in chat says, "I think one problem is that they have
salty. I'll handle the chat. Just state your points. All right. Don't worry, I'll take care of that. That's my thing. So,
okay, go ahead, Brian.
So, I want to go back. I want to talk about the Harrenhal. So I was just getting annoyed by the fact that Daemon is just continually sleeping and having dreams ever since the last episode, and I'm just trying to understand. Like, I was watching a little bit of at the end, then when Ryan Condell comes out and explains what's going on. So apparently Daemon is having because he's cool and he's bad. He's being haunted by all these things and everything. I'm just curious your thoughts on all that. Like, now they're trying to say that the werewoods, because apparently Harrenhal's haunted because weirwood trees were cut down in the forest, or were cut down, and so now, like, the furnishings, like his bed, for instance, are what's making him dream all this. I'm just like, what do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I was bored by most of
I literally did search through it.
And then you have Alice, you have Alice Rivers, trying to look like Daenerys in like season 1, where she's eating a heart. You got all that blood on her. You have all that blood on her face and all that. What was up with that? I'm just wondering, is she a witch? Is she one of those woods witches or something? I don't even remember. I haven't touched that bit of the lore.
Yeah, all of the unreliable narrators pretty much believe that she is some form of a witch or using some form of dark magic. like Mushroom says that she bathed in the blood of virgins to stay young. The other Meisters call her a woods witch. And it's very possible that she is, because they say that she's older than what she looks, that she definitely does look to be very young. However, all of this stuff, that's just extra plot. We don't really see it. Frankly, all they say is we don't really know what happened with Alice. And as far as we know, rather Alice and Damon, and as far as we know, she had no effect on him. But that's an area where they could mess around with if they wanted to. But I honestly don't know where they're going with this particular thing, because Damon having all of these angst issues and just going around having visions and seeming like he's not even accomplishing anything. Because at this point, he has accomplished, first of all, the Battle of the Burning Mill. That was his victory. And he already has hundreds of banners that have come to Rhaenyra, and once he gets Harrenhal, everyone flees even more. They're making it sound like the Blacks aren't doing anything. No, right now, Damon's got a big-ass army ready to go, and Rook's with the surprise. But he's not supposed to be just sitting around playing magic games.
Does this whole thing with the Tullys being that whole thing with the Tullys and the Blackwoods, was that a thing in the lore as well? Like, does he go straight to the Blackwoods and say, "Hey, raise your armies for us," or something like that? Because I swear that they're copying Song of Ice and Fire, because Grover Tully is basically what Hoster Tully, Lady Stark's father, was going through in the book. We don't see it in the show. We never meet Hoster Tully in the show. All we see is his funeral. But that's kind of what it seems like. They're just taking more cues from the main series and just incorporating it into Fire and Blood to fill in some gaps. At least that's just from that single bit of information right there.
Yeah, it's not really an issue at all. Basically, most people just came to Rhaenyra's side. There wasn't, as far as I recall, any issue with the Blackwoods and all that. Like I said, the first time we see them all together, they're all fighting together at Burning Mill. So I think that you might have something there when you're saying that they're just trying to hit different beats from Song of Ice and Fire. I'm looking back, though, because I know that right after Rhaenyra was crowned queen, this was alluded to in season 1, where Daemon sent all those ravens off. That's when all that was established, a lot of it. So I don't know about all this doubt.
So Steve, to answer your question, no, he's not dead. He's just injured. Yeah. Don't know how he survived, but hey,
is that what we're supposed to take away from this?
I think
Cole's, posture there at the end made very much like he was dead, and the fact that Aemond walked away with the king's dagger made it look like he was very dead.
He's not dead. I know that for sure, at least in the lore. But it seems like it's like, oh, is he going to live or something? So he's gonna be out of commission for a while. So he'll be back.
I mean, Aemond can't really allow him to be alive, right? Because from the scene that we saw, he definitely knows that his brother tried to kill him.
Another change that messes things up.
I swear, I think that they're just going to conveniently forget about that, or they're not going to bring it up again.
Well, yeah,
that's what I think is going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen.
I will say, and Teresa, I mean, I understand the perspective you're making. Given how much of a sort of book purist people will call me out on being for the Wheel of Time series, I think that for me, given the fact that George R.R. Martin, even if he's now sort of stepped back from being day-to-day production with the show, he was heavily involved with season 1, and if he's not involved with season 2, that's his choice. This is his work and his world, and if he wants to change it and make changes to a show, I blame him for that. So I don't know, when it comes to the changes to the story, I'm less concerned about that. I'm more concerned about what's the end product that we're getting, and I think the issue is that the changes that they're making, whether or not they're making them, the story that we're getting is just not good. Like it's they could have made a lot of changes if they had just tightened it, if they had just tightened the damn story up. Like, the question that I would have for you about the books, I guess, would be that all of this is going off of one book that is already fully published, right? Nothing pending, getting put out, right?
Oh,
Something like
okay,
that.
I'm back. Okay, I want to say a point. I don't know if I heard the rest of what you were saying. George R. R. Martin has been a little bit artful about this. He's just been saying, like, what the show is doing is what the show is doing. He doesn't consider it affecting anything. He said that, well, I kind of, like some of the things that they did, the actors are great, but he has said over and over, the show is a show and the books are the books. Yeah. He cashed the check, and he's not involved.
Yeah,
he doesn't care. He gives zero clucks, and he has to. And more people that I know that have lived to see their stuff adapted have said the same thing. You can't care because you'll just go crazy. But he said something very snarky in his latest blog about some of the changes that they made. He called it Maylor the Missing, which is what I've been saying, is that this is going to mess up the plot. But you can change things. Like Dan and Dave, some people are going to have to apologize to Dan and Dave after if they're defending this stuff, because Dan and Dave made some changes even in seasons 1, 2, 4 of Game of Thrones, but those worked. Changes are all right if they work, like Viserys was. It worked. But
you mean you're talking about? Are you talking about Viserys, House of the Dragon Viserys? Or are you talking about
House of the Dragon Viserys?
Okay,
one, because like they changed him, but that was a good change. It worked. Yeah. If a change works, it will be forgiven, and if it won't, it just keeps causing more and more issues. Like what we were saying, it's like the dude just tried to kill the king. And they did have a very brief scene where you see him kind of sizzling there with his armor. That's basically him still being alive, but he's going to be badly burned. He's going to have like 3/4 of his body with burns.
Which that annoys me even more with the dragon fighting and stuff like that, because I'm sorry, like that fall is not survivable. Also, when the dragon fell, wasn't there a big fireball that
I don't know. I don't even remember.
Pretty sure the dragon landed in the trees and there's a big fireball, which I was like, do dragons explode when they land?
Well, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't even think Martin knows, to be honest.
Well, and again, the way that it worked is in the book, it was different. I mean, the way it was, it wasn't. It was that they all tangled up and they all just kind of landed on the earth, and it didn't even have like Rhaenys landing on the castle and stuff. I don't like George R. R. Martin, so I hate to have to defend him, but Martin does not have anything to do with this anymore. Ryan Condal said, so what's happening? And he's washed his hands. He's cashed his check.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what each of these episodes is reminding me of, with just how slow it is and how many of the scenes are repeating, sort of previously trod ground. So we've commented about there's the council scene, and it's like all the guys say stupid stuff and they get put in their place by Rhaenys or whatever. It's like, okay, how many, why are we watching this scene again? Was this literally just cut from the previous episode? What are we doing here? And you're left with this idea that did anyone draw out the plot and the character arcs for this entire season and figure out hey, this is the story we're telling in season 2. Here are the primary characters. Here are their primary arcs. Here are their primary motives. And this is how every single episode we're going to come back to those stories and that movement, and everything else will get pulled along like they're getting caught in the toe, the current that's pulled behind those moving arcs, right? And instead, we see none of that. We just see sort of a series of vignettes between characters that are not really actually creating any tension. They're not really moving anything. And then just the next event happens, and you're like, okay, I saw that event. And if I
Yeah,
And
there's no
Yeah.
investment. I don't feel any investment. I think you're absolutely right.
I think Tripp, called me out and said like, oh, they did build up to this. And I'm like, look, if I sit here and I lay out all of the events and all of the pieces of information that I've been given in 4 episodes, like, yes, it was built up. They set this up, right? But they didn't set it up in a way that there felt like there was any tension pulling the previous episodes towards this moment, right? Like this moment could have not happened and the previous episodes like wouldn't have changed any, right? Whereas like when you do it right, there should almost be like a sense of inevitability where like all of these forces are moving these characters towards this conflict, right? And that is just not present. And I don't know why. Like I've been struggling to understand like what's happened in the last 4 episodes and what is missing, but it's just the best I can say is that I think its character arcs just don't exist. Does that make any sense to you guys? Like, do you think I'm hitting on something? Am I just like?
I mean, I think there's some characters. There's some character arcs. I mean, but the problem is like with season 1, like they shift the actors, so it feels like they're not the same character. So I mean, so we're getting like characters that were introduced late into season 1 into season 2, and I still feel like we barely know them. So yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. The Smart Muses.
Well, I guess just you and me.
All right. Well, but like, I think like Damon has a character arc, I guess. I mean,
but like what?
I'm trying to remember what is this.
No. Let's look at that. You said Damon has a character arc. What is Damon's character arc?
I mean, based on what according to Ryan Condal, he covets the Iron Throne, and he's just, and it's like his arc is like him, like just like him being humiliated and just he's basically trying to live up to that.
I will give you
want.
I will give you that might be a sense of character motivation, right? That might be some core kind of emotional motives or drives, but that's not an arc. Like we haven't seen him sort of like, if you were to plot him out for this season, like he's physically moved from place to place, but like doing what? Like building to what? Developing how? Like and every single character that I think of, I'm just like, I don't see that happening.
I mean, yeah. What's the point of Damon's story? I mean, like it starts with him. He's a second son. He's already not trusted by the council. He's not even his own brother Viserys doesn't trust him. Doesn't trust his judgment. And then we get this again with Rhaenyra this season with the whole blood and cheese thing. So maybe he wants to be trusted. Maybe it's his journey to doing something impactful. Maybe giving his life.
And I hear you saying those things, and I guess I'm just asking, like, why is it that we're sitting here saying like maybe? We're halfway through this season, right? Like we should know what the hell is going on with one of the lead characters.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, he's not. He's the lead. He's the top billed. Matt Smith is the top billed actor, so he's pretty much the lead character at this point. So
it's
well,
just,
they decided. Oh, I was just going to say they decided that they were going to not let Damon overshadow Rhaenyra this season, and so they decided to pull out of their butts that he suddenly wants to be king. They didn't really establish that last season, that he had issues with that after he married Rhaenyra.
Agreed.
It seemed like it just came out of nowhere. So they contrived it. All of a sudden now, deep down, he's been having this hidden jealousy, for their whole marriage? I mean, come on, people. And it's the reason why it's boring is because it's contrived.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you guys on that. It's just like the whole, like you said, scene. It's a scene where we're getting a little bit of information from these nobody characters, and then a character like Aegon is just happens to be there. He says something dumb, or he says, I'm not even right now, like Aegon's story, Aegon's arc is he wants to be accepted. He wants to be validated as king. Like it's all been given to him. Obviously, we have that scene in this episode with him and Alicent, and he's trying to get some advice from her. She tells him she basically belittles him, and he's like, man, tread carefully. And she's like, what are you gonna do, huh? You gonna kill me like you did these other people? I'm like, he can. I mean, like Cersei was afraid of Joffrey in the early seasons of Game of Thrones. So I mean, she didn't go far. Even she didn't go that far with him.
That was such a terrible scene. So this is a character that they've been trying to build up for 1.5 seasons of like being smart, right?
Yeah.
Maybe being like also sort of empathetic, compassionate, like she, didn't want violence and war and, whatever, right? They've tried to put her as like kind of the good person. Both her and Rhaenyra, they've tried to put, cast as like just good women who are stuck in this man's world, but they've certainly tried to put her as smart. Between her and her father Otto, the tension between them was because they're competing intellects trying to navigate these sort of stormy waters, right? And then she gives the worst and most predictably awful and backfiring advice you could possibly give this dipshit.
Yeah, do nothing. Yeah, really. But that scene doesn't top the one that just got me asking, like, I'm like, are they writing this just to piss people like us off who like to break this stuff down and try to make it make sense and all that? When they have the Black Council meeting, and Bela, remember the Bela, the dragon rider, the one that is following Kristen Cole, and they go into the woods, and she just leaves, and then she gets crap from the council, like, why didn't you just what we were saying, why didn't you do this? And then she responds with, maybe you can't, Sir Alfred, when you sit there on your dragon. I'm just like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like are they writing this just to, are they trying to say something to us? What do you think? I think that's why I'm begging this question.
Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They're turning me to be Team Green. I'm ready for all these people to just get burned and die. I mean, what about the snarky bitches? It's like, listen, I think that everything that the council was saying was completely legitimate. Rhaena just disappeared. Rhaenyra, rather, just disappears. They don't know what they're doing. They're trying to get shit done. And they know that people are going to die because men know what happens at war, because men have to fight the wars. That's what they keep saying. It just pisses me off. It's like, listen, men know what war is. That's why they don't want it. And they see that these little hot-headed little bitches are just fucking it up for them.
Yeah. And they're speaking sense. The council was speaking sense, and yet they're being the ones that are being told that they're stupid and all that. And I'm just like, I don't know if it's just maybe that's just characters and experience that just happen to be in this powerful position and all that, or like I said, maybe there's more subtext behind it. Maybe it's, hey, we know what you're thinking and all that. I don't know. That's just something I thought.
Related to that. So, one of those scenes, Jace is like, hey, send me. And she's like, I can't, you don't have any experience, right? It's like, cool. So how do you get experience? By sending
Rhaenys.
Like, I mean, the clear answer there would have been like, all right, cool. Send, especially, let's just be honest here. And they've established this before, that the other side has the largest dragon ever, Vhagar, who already, killed one of your dragons, right? Admittedly, a little tiny one, right? Like, you should not be sending single dragons anywhere. You should be sending flights of 2 because, hey, the advantage the Blacks have is they have more dragons, right? They have more dragons and dragon riders than the Greens do. The way you deal with that is you send a flight of 2 or 3, right? Because Vagar is
numbers
bigger, but he can't fight in every direction, right?
No.
So you have one fly low, one fly high. Like, that's why I was saying that the aerial tactics stuff and decision making has really annoyed me. But yeah, him not having the experience, and then I don't know, maybe
they had 9 dragons. I think they had 8 or 9 dragons. One was slain in season 1. They have at least 5 or 6 that they could use. Oh, we don't want to use it because they could get killed. Well, they're going to get killed for sure if you send one.
If you send them one at a time and they run
Vagar
into
Vagar. Vagar is the oldest, and you can tell just by the design. He's got holes in his wings. He's the most battle experienced. There's one thing I did like about the show is that they bring up the battle experience of the dragons, but Vagar is the most battle experience, and he's the biggest. So you're going to lose. Even Maelys, who had battle experience, is going to lose.
But she told Maelys to go back in and fight. That was the stupidest thing ever. I was just like, and that's how they lost. That's how they lost the rest and all the Rook's rest and all that. So that's how they lost the battle.
Did they make it clear in the show that the real reason why Rhaenyra was, because this is where the book and the show was blending for me, because Rhaenyra was actually not wanting to send Jace and all of them was because she didn't want to send her kids, and that's going to be a big theme.
I mean,
she is now
obvious.
so obsessed with not losing any of her children.
Yeah, I mean, she right away she gives them I mean, that should be. I think you're right, because like right after that scene, she tells him the Song of Ice and Fire. So she's already thinking about what's going to happen after she. So she's trying to preserve her heir.
But someone needs to call her out on that.
Yeah,
it's definitely obvious that that's what she's trying to do. But I'm just saying that like the conversations that are going on are not. I don't know. We're not getting sort of real interactions between characters, which is the sort of frustrating part, right? Because again, like if she said you don't have the experience, he should have made the exact argument that I just made. He should have said, and then she should have had to come back and be like, "No, you're the heir. I can't risk you." And let me tell you about this. The prince that is promised, kind of, whatever stuff, right? Her just being like, you don't have any experience, and him just eating that, like, okay, got it, put you in your place. It's dumb.
Yeah. Well, that's why I keep saying I don't think they're good writers, or they're not getting good supervision, because there is a skill in bringing this stuff into the script and into the dialogue. And it's like they're wanting us to just read the characters' minds, and that doesn't help too much. I don't know.
I'm curious if I forget if they borrowed any writers from like Rings of Power or Wheel of Time. I'm looking up.
I think the Acolyte, wasn't it one of them from the Acolyte? Yeah, or they're acting like all the characters have been watching all the previous episodes. I forget who said that once, but someone.
Okay, Ryan Condal himself wrote this episode. He wrote the first episode. He wrote tonight's episode, and then we got Sarah Hess wrote number 12, Rhaenyra the Cruel. What's weird is they even on the day of they don't like reveal the names of the episodes until like after the episode airs or something. I don't know why. Like. Can
I while you're looking that up, just say one last thing that annoyed me about the dragon fight? And, again, some of these, like, they're nitpicks, but it's like, hey, you built this entire episode. This fight was apparently like the thing. So if you screw some of the stuff up, like, hey, like that's on you. The one thing that they've established about Vagar, right, is that he's the oldest, he's the baddest dragon out there, right? But Aemon doesn't have great control over him because Vagar is so damn old, and it's just like, man, I'm going to do my own thing. And when Vagar got pissed off because Lucerys's dragon scratched him, Vagar went insane, and Aemon lost control of him, and Vagar just ate the other dragon, and Aemon was traumatized because he, didn't intend to do that. That's the story we've been told so far, right?
I've said this. I don't like that. I would have preferred the Darth Vader approach, but that's just me.
But in this episode, Vagar gets slashed, seriously, gets an injury from Meleys and ends up crash landing under the ground and stuff like that. And it looks for a second like they're going to have him losing control of Vagar. You see him crushing his own, men and stuff like that amid the fire on the ground and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I almost thought that was the reason that she turned back, because Aemon had lost control of Vagar. Vagar had flown away in a fit of rage or something like that, right? But no, he never loses control of Vagar, even though Vagar is more seriously injured than they did in the previous battle and has his bloodlust up from fighting another dragon. But no, it's all fine this time.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't show me a thing and then break the rule that you showed me,
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that, because they're the ones that they changed it, that they can't control the dragons. So they need to follow their own internal logic. Maybe that's why I'm so frustrated.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, and not just that, because they had to add that stupid thing with Rhaenyra and Alicent in the Sept, that had Rhaenyra gone for so long, which also had ripple effects. Because,
they had that same council meeting where the Black Council was restless, and they were giving our heroes crap because they actually made sense. They were actually asking good questions and all that. So, but yeah, I think the river. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on with the river. I'm honestly don't really know what's going on with the Riverlands and where that's going. Like, is he going to get a host? Is he not going to get a host at this point? Is he going to keep dreaming? Is he going to keep dreaming and have visions? And is that going to be I'm wondering if that's going to be the rest of the season.
I'm afraid that it is, because everything I've heard from Condell, he says he wants to focus on, with Daemon, the whole focus on their marriage. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I think that we're not going to see any resolution of this perhaps until the last episode or second to last episode.
Do you think they're going to bring in so I know that like Rhaenyra, I think both Rhaenyra and Alicent have younger kids. Do you think they're going to wait until like season 3 or season 4 to bring them in and age them up or something?
Well, they can't age them up because the Dance of the Dragons only happens within a 2-year period. So you can't age them up without messing up their own internal timeline. So the kids should already be older. The kids should be almost the same age as Lucy. Let's see what there's Jace, who's the oldest, 15, and they're supposed to be 9 and 7, Viserys and Aegon. So they're actually going to be doing things in a certain battle, which I don't see how they can, since they're still toddlers. But that's another ripple effect, because they decided to make Alicent and Rhaenyra the same age. They compressed 30 years into 20 years. If they'd have kept Alicent being older than Rhaenyra, then this would have made sense. I'm thinking they're just going to give the kids roles to other characters. Like, I'm still worried about what they're going to do with Rhaena, all these different names. They sent her off to the Vale, which is where she's supposed to go, but I think they're going to give her role to the boys' roles to her, and also Nettle's role to her. And
that sounds about right. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. So
yeah.
I do like Steve said, you're wasting your best tool in Harrenhal. It is crazy how we keep on. We heard all this stuff from Rhaenyra's council about the importance of Harrenhal, when apparently the entire King's Council knows that Harrenhal is a waste of your damn time. So, like, again, are the Blacks, are they all dumb? Do they not live in this country? Like, they don't know what's going on. Like, they don't know that the Riverlands are, friggin', fractured because their king, their lord is, infirmed, and they're all fighting amongst themselves, and Harrenhal is a waste of time and decrepit. Like, what is happening in terms of the advice and the war plans going on? Why is Damon off on his own in this apparently clearly fool's errand? Like, he knows it's going nowhere. They know it's going nowhere. What the hell?
It seems like he did. It's like he didn't. It's like he did. He just went on his. Like he went on his own. Like he wasn't ordered to go, if I remember correctly. Right? He just left. He just went there because Rhaenyra told me she told me she couldn't trust him, I believe. So,
yeah. They're all in a fight. That's why
he's by himself. That's why he's by himself. And I don't even know what. Yeah, like they're waiting on him. Like they're one of the big things. One of the big issues in the meeting was what we haven't heard any word. They've been saying ravens, and he's just been silent. So, yeah.
And that's why I have this not cognitive dissonance. That's the wrong word, but it's like you're in a civil war where people will die. They keep telling us thousands will die, millions will die, everyone's going to die, the whole kingdom, the dragons. And then they're having their major characters just going off and having temper tantrums and having dreams and being Egypts. I just, it's not internal logic within the story that they're telling. They keep telling us that everything is so risky, telling us so many things are at stake, but they sure don't act like it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're almost at the hour. We're almost at the time, at the cutoff time. So there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. Let me see if I can find it. Talked about that. We didn't talk about that. Wait, did we talk about that? Oh, there's another thing. I don't know if you guys really care about it. What do you guys think of the whole Alicent and the Moon Tea and Kristen Cole and all that, and the Larys scene trying to find out about it? Do you think that's going to go anywhere? Is Larys going to blackmail her or something? I'm assuming he already figured it out. Or I'm thinking he knows something's up with her.
Yeah, well, I always figured that he knew that she was sleeping around it from the episode 1. The way he was like, "You were into spells."
I'm curious what his game. I'm curious, like, what's he gonna try and do, or was he gonna have her do, or something, or was he gonna?
I thought that was an entire waste of a scene. I thought that. I guess we're supposed to get that she's looking into the history books because she knows about the Song of Ice and Fire and is looking for information on it. But like you said, Larys already knows, sort of, and the whole Moon Tea and stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the previous season and the commentary that the directors and showrunners said. But the whole every episode or every season of this show now has to have lots of abortions happening. I don't know. It's hard for me to not think of it as a political thing from these showrunners, given what they said about season 1.
Yeah.
It was all right. So there's another 5 minutes of show that isn't focused on the main characters, the main plot, the driving action, the driving conflict. Good. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I thought too, that they were showing the cost that the women have with casual sex, which is partly why it wasn't a good idea for women to sleep around. Not fair. I know it's not fair, but guess what? Back in that, especially in that world, there were bigger consequences for women having sex than men. So I think that that's what they were trying to show. And if it was in a vacuum without all the other stuff and all that stupid commentary, I maybe wouldn't have minded because I like a little bit of social history with my medieval stuff. But they were definitely trying to show that aspect of it because Cole, obviously, he doesn't have to worry about it. And we saw, Alicent does. As far as where Larys is going with it, maybe. I don't know, because that obviously is not something that's really something that was outlined in the book. And so I don't know how closely they're going to follow Larys's story. But I could definitely see there being a gratuitous scene, maybe even a grape, because that's kind of where they're going with women not having power. So I bet you he's going to blackmail her into it.
Yeah, or or maybe I don't even want to think about that scene in season 1 with the
Feet.
they're taking off her shoes and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I don't know. I don't care about that. I brought it up because that was the one thing we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Pips. I'm like, what's happening? What's going on here? So, but yeah, I am already tired. It's been an hour. So, any final thoughts? Start with Miss Martin Muses.
Well, I guess my final thought is this is what we call a wasted and missed opportunity. They obviously had the budget. They also obviously showed that they could do some really awesome dragon action, and they decided to mess up the story behind it. And here's the thing, you can have all the spectacle in the world, but you have to have internal logic. And that we still have a pacing problem with this show, because I was halfway through the episode and I couldn't believe it that we were still having ghost tales in the middle of Harrenhal, when I'm like, they could have actually done most of the whole episode just being that whole battle and us seeing Rhaenys.
Yes,
but they're not building it up.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, there's a battle. Like, I didn't see that coming. I like to anticipate. I like to feel the anticipation. Like that's what I liked about a lot of older shows, and even anime shows. Like, they build up anticipation. Books, build up anticipation. So
Yeah.
I mean,
they're just sitting there treading water. And when they said that they got 8 episodes and they wanted 10, I'm like, dear goodness gracious, and all that's holy in heaven, what the heck were you going to do with 10 episodes? You're already boring me with 4. They could have done the same amount of material in 2 episodes. So they need to get their crap together. Of course, it's too late because they've already filmed it and it's already done. And then they're going to make us wait 2 more years. I think by the time season 3 comes around, I'm just going to be totally Padme'd out, going to lose the will to watch.
Yeah, 2026. Yeah, so far the plan is next year is going to be season 1 of Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That's going to be the next Game of Thrones show. So I think they're trying to do one every year now. So, but even older Game of Thrones, like, they came out with those, year by year by year until season 8. Season 8 took 2 years for 6 episodes. Go figure. But like these seasons, like, barely anything's happening. I mean, it looks great, but beyond that, I'm trying to understand the justification of 2 years. I mean, I guess all that dragon work is, I guess that's months and months of work, I guess.
I think you answered your own question, though. They could do them faster, but they're wanting to do the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, so because they're afraid of doing 2 at the same time.
I'm just curious. Yeah, I'm just curious what took season 2 so long. I mean, it's been not quite 2 years, but very close to it. So, oh well. Pips, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to disagree a little bit in that, like, I don't think that this episode needed to, like, spend more time on the battle and spend more time on the fight with the dragons and stuff like that. I think the time was fine.
No, we were talking about building up to it. We're not talking about the duration. We're talking about the build up. So, but
yeah,
sorry, finish your point. My bad.
So again, I really think that the issue for me is probably that, based on the amount of stuff that we've had happen, like, so this is your sort of mid-season finale, right? The big battle dragon fight stuff. So they've clearly, like, they placed this within the season. This is supposed to be some sort of a high point. Episode 5 will probably be like a little bit of falling action, and then like 6, 7, and 8 should be ramping back up again if it's, like a traditional sort of storytelling pattern for, a season of this length, right? And it's very frustrating to me knowing that, I guess I'll put it this way. Tripp has accused me of, like, not liking the sort of, the scenes where they're doing all of the groundwork for this stuff, and like, a slow burn. I thought we're supposed to like that kind of stuff. And I agree with her. My issue is that I think that about 50% of the slowness that we've had up to this point was not in service of what was the actual, driving arc and action of this 4-episode sort of arc, right? So I just think that if they wanted to build to this this sort of sequence, right, the first half of this season should have had Damon doing stuff maybe, and should have had some certain things going on, but the Allison and Rhaenyra like conflict should have been minimized a little bit. The Aemond and Aegon conflict should have been increased. We should have seen more of Rhaenys. To your point, Teresa, the issue of if they had Rhaenyra be the bereaved mother who was incapable of coping a little bit, and Rhaenys had to step up and like take charge of the war and take charge of the conflict,
and be the queen.
Yeah, that would have built up to this point, and the loss of her would have been that much more crazy, because now in the second half of the season we'd be like, man, the queen's going to need to snap out of her shit and start taking charge, because the person that was running the war for her just got killed, right? Like, so this is the thought process that I just don't understand why no one in the writer's room was asking this question of like, hey, okay, here's the storyboard for episode 4. And then like, have we really put in the work to like make this be something that the audience is going to give a shit about? And then I feel like just crickets, and they're like, wait, we're supposed to do that?
No, I'm totally with you. Like we're supposed to feel a gut punch. I mean, like I want to be invested. I want to feel the weight of this death. I mean, it's a major moment here. So, and like I said, I don't think that they did not build it up proper to the point where, I mean, yeah, she's gone. I'm happy she's not going to be complaining. Like I said, and she's not going to be complaining about, not being the queen anymore. So, or the realm is going to forget because men like to be violent, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. They missed the mark on this. This was a missed opportunity. So, but yeah, good point, Pips.
I do want to circle back and just say that again. I don't hate this show. It's one of those things where I feel like as you talk about it, you sort of like remove the scales from your eyes a little bit, right? So like, sitting on the couch watching it, like I could put myself in the position of like the average person just watching this show and be like, sweet, hey, another high quality episode, dragons fighting, fire blasts, like the king is dead, maybe like tension, I just think that the work that they're doing is so superficial that it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. And as soon as you subject it to scrutiny, you realize they're like, wait a second, they're actually kind of phoning this one in.
Yeah.
And that's annoying to me. It's annoying to me that they're phoning in this show, given the budget, given the brand, given the studio. It's annoying to me.
Yeah, I'm with you on the superficiality. That's why I've been very apathetic. I mean, even watching the episode, like I have anticipated absolutely nothing this season. Like I'm just watching it because I watched season 1, did the after show, wanted to do another after show. I'm grateful to have you guys to talk about with, and that's the thing that I look forward to the most. So. I mean, that's why I'm doing these. So, but like I don't rewatch the episodes. Season one was a bit of a drag until you get to the whole thing with what's Luke, the whole thing with Luke and like him trying to get Baratheon's fealty or something like that. I think it's Baratheon. And then Aemon's already there, and we feel the tension there, and then then they have that little chase and all that, and then Vhagar kills him. That was something that was that was probably the one part of the season that made me invested and made me care for a moment. So, but I haven't really felt that. I haven't really felt anything equivalent to that this season. So, yeah, I'll watch. We'll watch the rest of the season, see how it goes. But I'm not expecting much. So, but hey, that's the end of the show. Thank you guys for doing this. Smart Muses, thank you again for being on and bringing your knowledge of the lore, especially the Fire and Blood portion of it, which I still have not read. Pips, thanks for taking some time out of your extremely busy family life to join me on the Sunday night. And Salty out there, thank you. We'll talk about earlier. Didn't mean to do that, but it's just got to a point where I feel like I need to be the one, since I'm the host, I'm the one that needs to talk to the chat. So we'll talk. But anything you guys want to promote? I know Miss Smart Muses, I know you had your you put out a video. Salty talked about it. I put the link to it in the chat. I don't know if it was a hyperlink or anything, because I used StreamYards to do it instead of YouTube, so who knows. But tell us about that video that you just put out.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have a video up, just dropped an hour ago, about what Rook's Rest and how it all developed in the version of Fire and Blood, including some of the very different versions that the Mushroom and the different Eustaces and all the different Meisters say. So I hope you'll enjoy that. Also, I'm going to continue doing more as we continue with Fire and Blood, maybe some more live streams as things are starting to pick up a little bit with me. But yes, go ahead and maybe look at my House of the Dragon playlist, where I've kind of been doing all of these all along as we've been going.
Sweet. All right, I'll have to add that to my list. I have I need something to listen to on my way to a job site tomorrow, so it's gonna be a longer drive for me. So, Pips, what about you? What's going on with the White Cloaks? I know Dane's doing like an interview with I forget what's her name again, the
Sword and Pen Reflections channel. She's coming on to talk Wheel of Time lore. As somebody,
I think she's a new reader, right? She's a new reader, right?
Yeah, she's like
she hasn't finished the series either, right?
No, she's gotten up to the Shadow Rising, so it's going to be as not spoilery as possible. I think is their plan.
Yeah, you guys will probably have fun, or they'll have fun talking to her than talking to me. All I did was complain about this.
Yeah, well, we'll see. She's great. She's got a great channel. You guys should check it out. Like I said, Sword and Pen Reflections is her secondary channel that she does a lot of this like fantasy stuff. She has a primary channel, Sword and Pen. So if you haven't already, go check that out. Support her. But yeah, she's going to be on with Dane and a couple other people to have a conversation about Wheel of Time. Otherwise, for myself, man, like I got a baby. I got like 3 different jobs. I'm swamped. But happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to be able to spend one evening a week, baby's sleeping, and I can do something that is not baby related. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I appreciate you all for it and everything. So,
and who needs sleep?
Yeah, sleep. You sleep when you're dead. I don't know who said that, but somebody said that. What about rewatch? Isn't rewatch going to be a thing, or is that is that pushed back?
We're doing it, and like I actually need to reach out to some of the other guys. I think like we have to do at least one episode before I leave, just to like get it taped and like just to get ourselves on track. So you guys can wait for more news if you want to abuse yourself and your brain and your liver to that extent.
Okay. All right. Well. All right. Like I said, thanks for once again. Thanks for doing this. As for me, well, with my new job, it's just getting used to the new schedule and all that. So, Chilporial's still kind of up in the air. I'm probably going to ask around. I don't know if I'm not sure if I'm going to do one this week. I might stream, but I don't know if it's going to look good. I've been playing Elden Ring. Actually got further this time. I didn't rage quit yet, so I might do that. And yeah, the fact that I'm playing a video game, I thought I lost interest, but apparently that game kind of brought me back in. but it's not because of Martin's story or anything. That's not why I'm playing it. I don't even know what the story is. I don't even care what the story is. It's not that type of game. So, but we'll see about I'll see about that. But yeah, and then the videos. I mean, I'll have to do something. I'll have to make a video eventually. There's stuff I wanted to do, and there's just it just hasn't been a whole lot of time, and just motivation's not quite there for me. So I'll have to eventually think of something. But I do want to do a member stream. So if I don't do a Choporio this week, I'll probably do a member stream this week. I'll think of a time. I'll probably send out a comment or send out like a message to members if they want to do something. So we'll see. So, but yeah, other than everybody, have a good night. Take care. Stay safe and stay incorporeal.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.